Hello, I'm Rebecca Flaherty, and this week I'm going to show you how to make this wavy checkerboard pattern in Procreate. You don't need to do any drawing to make this pattern. We're going to do it all with simple fold shapes using the liquify tool and a bit of clever maths. This is an intermediate level tutorial. If you know how repeat patterns work and are familiar with things like snapping, transforming and the liquify tool in Procreate, this should be an easy tutorial to follow along with. If you're new to patterns or completely new to Procreate, you might find it a bit trickier, but if you follow along step by step, you will get there at the end. I'm going to put all the measurements and dimensions that I use in the description. So let's get started. I'm going to start by creating a 12-inch or 3600 pixels square canvas at 300 dpi. So I'm going to leave my background colour as white, and I'm going to choose black and fill this first layer with black. Then I'm going to tap up here on the transform tool. I'm going to tap on this node here and I'm going to change the size of this box to 600 pixels square. So now I've got this box which is 600 pixels square. I'm going to duplicate it, tap to transform, and I've got snapping and magnetics turned on and both distance and velocity all the way up to the top, and I have bicubic for my interpolation method here. So I'm going to tap to transform and I'm going to snap this down to the corner of that box there. So then if we zoom in, you'll see those are perfectly butted up against each other. So then I'm gonna duplicate this one again, and then I can snap this one to the middle of the canvas there, and that will also be snapped to the corner of that box. We can duplicate it again and bring it down here and snap it to the middle of the canvas and the corner of that box. Duplicate again and snap it to the top of the canvas and the corner of that box. And then this last one, if we have all of our snapping done properly, this one will snap to the edge of the canvas there and the corner of that box. And then when we zoom in, those should look perfectly butted up against each other like that. So I'm going to group these now, or you could pinch to merge those together. I'm going to duplicate this group and I'm going to snap it down to there. So you should see an orange line going down here because it's snapped to the edge of the canvas. You should also see an orange line in the middle where these ones are snapped to the middle of the canvas, and an orange line going down there. And if you zoom in here, this middle of the canvas should be nice and tight like that. Then we can duplicate this again and snap this one down to the bottom of the canvas. If you don't have enough layers to do any of that, you could just tap and flatten the group as well. And these will move around and snap just the same as the group will. So I am going to pinch all of these together on the same layer now. So that is a basic checkerboard pattern in Procreate. What we're going to do now is make this a wavy checkerboard pattern. So I'm going to duplicate this layer so that we've got one to go back to in case we mess up somewhere along the way. I'm going to tap to transform on the one that is showing, and I'm going to snap this up to the middle of the canvas, and you'll see 1800 pixels there. I'm going to duplicate, tap to transform, and snap this over to that side of the canvas, always looking out for those orange lines there. And we can do a zoom in and check that this seam here is lining up properly. Pinch those top two together, duplicate and snap that to the bottom of the canvas there, and zoom in and just make sure that that's tight in the middle there. So this is the checkerboard that we're going to be working with and using the liquify tool on, so we can pinch that all onto one layer now. So I'm going to come up here to adjustments and I'm going to go to the liquify tool. So I'm going to change the size to 90%, the momentum to none, distortion is none, and pressure is set to max. I'm going to use the twirl right one, and I'm just going to lightly tap in the middle here and give that a little rotate there. Then I'm going to duplicate this layer, tap to transform, snap half of it over to this edge here, looking for those orange lines, tap to transform again, and snap the bottom one over to this side. Then we can zoom into the middle and make sure that this is looking tight in the middle there. Pinch those two layers together, go to our adjustments again, go back to the liquify tool, and again with those same settings we're just going to give this a bit of a rotate in the middle there. So now we've got this middle section made wavy going across there, and that's repeating. we've got this straight section at the top that we want to rotate, so I'm going to bring these down into the middle. So we can duplicate this, drag one copy down to the bottom there, and drag the other one up to the top, making sure you have those orange lines there. Zoom into the middle, make sure that everything is still centered on this edge, pinch those together, and then we can work on this section here the same. So I'm going to go to the liquify tool and give this a rotate there. And then we're going to bring the edges into the middle, and then that will be the whole thing done. So bring these to the outside, snapping them to the edges of the canvas, and then pinch those two together, and then it's just this section here that we have to work on now. So liquify tool, and then just give this a little rotate like we have been with the rest. And there we go, that is your wavy checkerboard pattern. Let's test how this is looking in Repeat now. So I'm going to swipe down and copy all, swipe down again and tap paste. Let's hide the other layers, and I'm going to make the background colour red, and then if there's any gaps in this, that red will show through and we'll be able to fix it if necessary. So let's tap to transform, snap this up to the middle there, duplicate and drag that over to this side, and then we can just check this seam here, make sure that we can't see any red peeping through along that gap there. That's looking okay. We can now pinch those two together, duplicate and drag that down there, and again just pan along this seam and make sure that there's no red gap showing down there, and then you'll know that your tile is fully seamless. So that is our finished wavy checkerboard pattern. I hope you have fun with this tutorial. If you want to see more from me, don't forget to subscribe here on YouTube for pattern tutorials like this every week. If you want more in-depth courses from me, you can find those over on Skillshare. If you're not already on Skillshare and sign up using the link below, you'll get 30 days for free. Have fun, stay creative, and I will see you next time.